Hey, how are you doing? In today's video, I want to talk to you about just rest, what God told me about rest. You know, I'm sitting here this morning and I can't help but think about the people I see every single week. In my office, in my living room, on the phone, they're exhausted. Not just tired, exhausted. The kind of exhausted that sleep doesn't fix. You wake up at 6 in the morning and before your feet even hit the cold floor, your mind is already running through the list. The emails, the bills, the mistakes you made yesterday, the things you're terrified you'll mess up today. There's this silence that comes with that exhaustion. A silence where you're supposed to be peaceful, but instead, you're just numb. Going through the motions. You're at the dinner table with your family, and they're talking, but you're not really there. You're somewhere else. Somewhere darker. And the worst part? You can't even name what's wrong. You have a job, you have a home, you have people who love you. So why does it feel like you're drowning in shallow water? That's what I want to talk about today. If you're looking for peace in a world that won't slow down, hit that subscribe button. We're going deeper into this together. More videos like this every single week. Because here's what I've learned in 30 years of practice. The tiredness you're feeling isn't just physical. It's spiritual. It's emotional. It's the weight of trying to earn your own rest instead of receiving it. And when you don't understand the difference between those two things, your body starts to break down in ways you can't even predict. But to understand how this all started, I need to take you back to something very personal. Something I didn't talk about publicly for a long time. And on that day, everything seemed perfectly normal. I was maybe 35 years old. My practice was growing. My wife and I had 3 kids already, with more on the way. I was doing what I thought I was supposed to do, working harder. Saying yes to more clients, more speaking engagements, more responsibility. Because that's what successful people do, right? They push, they sacrifice, they prove their worth by never stopping. My wife would ask me to slow down. My kids would ask me to come home early. And I'd nod and say I would, but I wouldn't. Because somewhere deep inside, I had this belief, and I'm being honest with you now, I believed that my value was directly connected to my output. If I wasn't producing, I wasn't worthy. If I wasn't needed, I wasn't important. So I worked. I got up before dawn. I went to bed after midnight. Weekends became work days. Vacations became working vacations. And I was so busy grinding that I didn't even notice when everything started to crack. Until one morning, I couldn't get out of bed. Not because I was sick, not because something was broken, but because the weight of it all had finally caught up with me. I was lying there in the dark, next to my wife who was sleeping peacefully, and I realized something terrifying. I didn't remember the last time I felt rested. Not just physically, spiritually, emotionally. I couldn't remember the last time I felt at peace. And that's when the panic started. Because a man who helps other people, a psychologist, a counselor, isn't supposed to fall apart. He's supposed to have the answers. So I didn't tell anyone, not even my wife, not at first. I just got up. I went through the motions. I saw my clients and told them how to find peace while I was slowly losing mine. But here's the truth that nobody tells you about exhaustion. It doesn't just affect you. It starts to poison everything around you. I became irritable, impatient. I'd snap at my wife over nothing. My kids would try to talk to me, and I'd barely hear them. I was physically present but emotionally absent. And the shame of that, the shame of being a failure at the one thing I was supposed to be an expert at, that's what really started to destroy me from the inside. The problem wasn't the work. The problem was that I had built my entire identity on what I could produce instead of who I was created to be. If you've ever felt that weight, that feeling that you're never enough, that you have to keep proving yourself, leave a comment down below. I read every single one, because you're not alone in this, and we need to talk about it now. Here's what I want to show you. There's a man in the Bible who understood this exhaustion better than almost anyone else. His name was Elijah. And I want you to really listen to his story, because when you understand what happened to him, you're going to recognize yourself in every single detail. Elijah was a prophet, a powerful man, a man who performed miracles. He brought fire down from heaven. He defeated the prophets of Baal. He was literally doing God's work, and he was doing it with incredible power and anointing. People knew his name. People respected him. He was important. And then, after one of the greatest victories of his life, something unexpected happened. King Jezebel threatened to kill him, and Elijah, this powerful man who had just called down fire from heaven, he ran. He was terrified. He ran into the wilderness alone, and he sat under a tree and said, "God, I'm done. I want to die. I'm not good enough. I've failed. Just take me." Do you hear that? A man who had just done incredible things was now convinced he was worthless. Why? Because his identity wasn't built on who he was. It was built on what he could do. And God's response to Elijah is so beautiful. I want you to really hear this. God didn't tell him to pray harder, didn't tell him to believe more, didn't tell him to work through it. God told him to rest. First, God sent an angel who brought Elijah food and water. And Elijah ate and fell asleep. Then the angel woke him up and fed him again. Just that. Just rest. Just nourishment. Just being taken care of. And then God did something even more radical. God didn't speak to Elijah in the earthquake or the wind or the fire. God spoke to him in the still, small voice, in the silence, in the quiet. God met Elijah not when he was producing or performing, but when he was simply present and listening. That's the message. That's the lesson that changed my life. God doesn't love you for what you do. God loves you for who you are. And rest, real rest, isn't something you earn. It's something you receive. It's something you surrender into. When I finally understood that, everything changed. I had to have some very difficult conversations with my wife, with my therapist, with God. I had to admit that I was exhausted, that I couldn't do it all, that my worth wasn't connected to my productivity. And then I had to actually change the way I lived. I started setting boundaries, real boundaries. I stopped checking emails after 7 p.m. I stopped working on weekends. I told my clients no sometimes. And let me tell you, that was harder than it sounds. Because saying no to work felt like saying no to being important. But here's what happened when I finally rested. My marriage got better, deeper. My wife and I started actually talking again. My kids started opening up to me because I was actually present. My own anxiety started to decrease. And ironically, and this is the beautiful part, my work became better, more focused, more helpful, because I wasn't coming from a place of desperation and proving myself. I was coming from a place of being secure in who I was. And the clients I saw, they started to heal faster. Why? Because they were getting help from a man who was actually at peace, not a man who was faking it while falling apart behind closed doors. Now, I want to be very practical with you here, because just rest sounds nice, but it's not that simple in the real world, is it? First, and I mean this, you have to believe that you are worthy of rest right now. Not when you finish the project, not when you get the promotion, not when everything is handled. Right now, you are worthy. God created you worthy. That's the foundation. If you don't believe that, nothing else I tell you is going to stick. Second, you have to get specific about what's stealing your rest. Is it work? Is it relationships? Is it perfectionism? Is it fear? Is it unforgiveness? You can't fix what you won't name. So sit down, Be honest with yourself. What is actually exhausting you? Third, you have to practice receiving. And this is radical for a lot of people. In our culture, we're taught that we have to earn everything. But rest is a gift. God gives it freely. Can you receive a meal from someone without feeling like you have to repay them? Can you accept help without feeling like you're weak? Can you let someone love you without producing anything in return? Start practicing that in small ways. Fourth, and this is crucial, you have to actually rest. Not pretend to rest. Not feel guilty while you're resting. Actually rest. Put the phone down. Close the laptop. Stop thinking about the to-do list. Sit in silence for 10 minutes. Take a walk. Sit with your family. Read a book that doesn't make you smarter. Just be. Just exist. Without doing anything. And here's something my wife taught me, and I'm grateful for this every single day. Rest is a spiritual practice. It's not lazy. It's not selfish. It's obedience to God. God rested on the seventh day, not because he needed to, because it was important, because it matters. When you rest, you're saying to yourself and to God, I trust you. I'm not going to hold everything together by my own effort. I'm going to let go and trust that the world won't fall apart if I'm not working. That's an act of faith. For the last 30 years, I've watched people heal from depression, from anxiety, from broken relationships, from destroyed self-image. And you know what the common thread is? Every single one of them had to learn to rest, had to learn to receive, had to learn that their worth wasn't connected to their output. And I want that for you. I want you to wake up tomorrow morning and feel peaceful instead of panicked. I want you to sit at dinner with your family and actually be there. I want you to go to bed knowing that you are enough, just as you are. Not because of what you did that day, not because of what you're going to do tomorrow, but because you exist, because you were created by God, because you matter. That's what God told me about rest. That's what I'm telling you. So here's what I want you to do starting today. Just one thing. Tomorrow morning, before you do anything else, before you check your phone, before you think about work, sit somewhere quiet for 10 minutes. Sit in your car if you have to. Sit in your closet. Sit in your kitchen before everyone wakes up. And just be still. That's it. No meditation, no special technique, just you and the quiet. And if your mind starts racing, and it will, that's okay. Just notice it. Let it pass. Come back to your breath. Come back to the present moment. Come back to the fact that right now, in this moment, you are safe. You are provided for. You don't have to earn anything. You are enough. Do that for a week. Just 10 minutes. And I promise you, things are going to shift. Not overnight, but they will shift. Because rest isn't something you're too busy for. Rest isn't something that will happen when everything is finished. It won't be, by the way. Rest is something you choose. It's something you prioritize. It's something you say yes to. And when you finally do, you're going to find something waiting for you that you've been searching for your whole life. You're going to find peace, real peace, the kind that doesn't depend on circumstances, the kind that God promised us, the kind that passes all understanding. So here's my final thought for you. In all my years of being a psychologist, in all my years of listening to people's stories, in all the pain I've witnessed and helped heal, the happiest people I've ever met weren't the most successful. They weren't the busiest. They weren't the ones with the most accomplishments. They were the people who had learned to rest, who had learned to receive, who had learned that their worth wasn't connected to their output. And you can have that too. So, like this video if it resonated with you. Subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the next deep conversation we have together. and leave a comment down below and tell me, what's been stealing your rest? What's the one thing you need to let go of so you can finally breathe? I read every single comment, and I want to hear from you. Thank you for sitting with me today. I'll see you in the next one.